Hello and hi, welcome to the Chronicles YouTube platform. My name is Alok Singh and you are watching our Hawkeye edition where we are going to cover some important news that have appeared of recent in our daily newspapers, that is The Hindu, Indian Express and PIB. And in this edition we will diagnose this news related development with the perspective of examinations, and we will further see how these informations are important with the perspective of prelims and mains, and further in this diagnosis we will add up our views how this information adds value to our examinations. So let's begin with this important news that have appeared in the newspaper. So the first news that we are going to cover is related to Nobel Prize, which has been given up till now in the fields of physiology or medicines and in the field of physics. Nobel Prize, as you know, it's an international award, the highest international award that is being given in the field of research and development, in the field of literature, as well as for the efforts being done to establish peace in the world. So on this behalf, Nobel Prize is given in this respective areas. So in the field of research development, Nobel Prize is being given in the field of physiology or medicine, in the field of chemistry, as well as in the field of physics. So as of now, in this year, in the year 2023, Nobel Prize up till 5th of October has been given in physiology as well as in the field of physics. So we'll cover what are these developments, which individuals has been given this Nobel Prize, and what are the development or their innovation has been based on which they have been given this Nobel Prize. So this Nobel Prize is given by institute that is Royal Swedish Academy of Sciences based in Sweden. This society gives annually the Nobel Prize to these individuals, and besides this Nobel Prize, a monetary value worth $1 million, and if I convert it into the Swedish currency, that is kronor, it is around 11 million Swedish kronor that is being given to these individuals who get the Nobel Prizes. And in the US dollar, its valuation is around $1 billion US dollar. So the idea of Nobel Prize began in the year 1895, and it is premised on the name of Alfred Nobel. Alfred Nobel, as you know, had done the invention of dynamite, and based on his naming, this Nobel Prize is being initiated. So Alfred Nobel was important, he was a scientist as well as a businessman and important entrepreneur. Along with that, he has keen interest in literature as well as in music. So in 1895, he initiated this foundation, and post his demise, he wrote a will. उन्होंने अपनी एक will generate की जिसमें whatever money he has earned, he ensured कि that money should be used for these developments. So based on his name only, this prizes annually is being given in the field of research development as well as literature and peace. So the Nobel Prize in the field of medicine or physiology has been given to these two individuals. One is Katalin Karikó and other is Dave Weissman. So Katalin is an Hungarian biochemist and Dave Weissman is an American physicist scientist. So they have been given this Nobel Prize for their work in the field of discoveries concerning nucleoside base modification that enable the development of effective messenger RNA vaccine against the COVID-19. So as you know, past 2-3 years, right from 2019, the world was facing with the issue of coronavirus, COVID-led pandemic, and there wasn't any peculiar, drug medicines available that could address the issue or disease related to COVID-19, right? So a vaccine was being developed, that is known as mRNA vaccine. So the backdrop of this vaccine creation goes back to the research and development efforts of these two important scientists who has initiated their research way back in 1980s. They tried to understand the nucleoside base modification, and that led to the efficient use of messenger RNA. Now in easy term, if I would say your behavior, your body color or any of your peculiar genetic habit is being encoded in the DNA, right? And in order to that behavior to be expressed effectively, this information needs to be carried to a particular part in our cell cytoplasm, right? So messenger RNA is the carrier, right? mRNA is the carrier which carries the instruction from the DNA to the cell cytoplasm in order to let that information be effectively expressed. So it is the mRNA which is responsible for the expression of those behavior by taking information from the DNA. So this group of scientists have studied the behavior and has led to the they were of the opinion that messenger RNA could be effectively used for the vaccine. Now there are two things that you need to understand. One is related to the immunity of the body. Once you know कि once there is a disease in your body or any incidences, for example like influenza or a snake bites in your body, then the body tends to develop certain memory cells or tends to develop antibodies against that particular disease. So the probability of falling sick again with the perspective of disease tend to recede. So our scientists have exploited this immune behavior of our individuals, and they have taken that messenger RNA from the SARS, that is severe acute respiratory syndrome, more particularly coronavirus. They took that mRNA or the protein responsible for behavior of that coronavirus from their body. They have taken this messenger RNA and they have artificially or in the lab they have manipulated this messenger RNA, and through the use of this synthetic messenger RNA, they will infuse this synthetic messenger RNA into the body of individuals. And once this synthetic messenger RNA is being infused or artificially injected into our individuals, like we took the vaccine by taking the injections, it tends to develop immunity in our body against this particular coronavirus disease. So based on this, this year award has been given to these two individuals. Now for the Nobel Prize in Physics in the year 2023, these three individuals has been awarded the Nobel Prize. One is Pierre Agostini, other is Frene Cross, and the third one is Annie L. Euler, right? So these three individuals has been given Nobel Prize in Physics, and this factual information is important with the perspective of prelims, and more specifically in state PCS prelims. So they every now and then they tend to ask who has been given Nobel Prize in their respective fields, be it physics, physiology or chemistry. So this information with the perspective of fact is relevant from the perspective of prelims, more specific in the state PCS examinations. And if we need to diagnose why it is relevant for the our UPSC mains, so we need to identify in what areas they have been given this Nobel Prize. So the Nobel Prize in Physics has been given to study the behavior of electrons. That is, these three individuals have done their research activity for their experimental methods that generate attosecond pulses of lights for the study of electron dynamics in matter. So to identify the behavior of electrons in matter, they have developed methodology that is known as attosecond pulses of light that tends to give a relevant information relevant to the behavior of electron. So the key term here is attoseconds, right? Attosecond pulses of light. So what do you understand by attoseconds? So it is a fraction of about 17 decimals before 1 second, that is known as 18 seconds. If you want to keep, there are around 17 decimals or 17 zeros before 1 second, yani ki it's lesser than 17 times of a fraction of seconds. Based on that behavior, electrons behavior can be identified. In the easy term, if I can say ki electron has such a mobility, it is moves so fast and responsible for activities like conduction of electricity. So in order to study its behavior, it needs to be paused slow so that we can identify the behavior. अगर मैं example के perspective से if I would say, if you see a bird humming, a bird flipping its wings, it flips it so fast that you can't with a naked eye you cannot see it. But once you record it with a camera or use certain methodology that tends to slow down the flipping of its wings, then you can easily identify it. अगर आप bird flip कर रही है, right, एक humming bird जैसे flip करती है, अपने wings को बहुत ही तेजी से flip करती है, right, तो आप एक naked eye से उसको नहीं देख सकते. But once you utilize a camera or any technology that can slow down the movement, so you can see, you know, the movement of the wings. तो सेम इसी मेथोडोलॉजी पे आपकी जो है ये इलेक्ट्रॉन डायनेमिक्स ऑफ द मैटर है, फॉर विच नोबेल प्राइज हैज बीन गिवन, एंड दिस साइंटिस्ट हैव डेवलप्ड द मेथोडोलॉजी बेस्ड ऑन द एटोसेकेंड्स पल्सेस ऑफ लाइट, थ्रू विच जो है वी कैन आइडेंटिफाई द dynamics of electrons in a matter. So these three individuals, Pierre Augustine, Ferenc Krauss, as well as L. Euler, has been given Nobel Prize in physics. So up till now in physiology, that is medicine, as well as in physics, Nobel Prize has been given, and we know that based on naming of the Alfred Nobel, this Nobel Prize is being given in what are the fields this Nobel Prize is being given. So in the next part we will see Nobel Prize in chemistry, as well as Nobel Prize in peace, as well as in Nobel Prize in literature, once the individuals has been given the award. So this is all related to, you know, Nobel Prize, a factual information. Now the next article contains to an article related to, you know, our polity sections, where High Court, Madras High Court has said that educational institution run by religious and linguistic minorities need to follow the rule of reservation for SC, STs and other backward class students. So as you know, in our constitutions, there is a provision for reservation in the educational institutions, and more particularly with reference to Article 15 Clause 5, where the constitution mandates for reservation of certain seats in the educational institutions for the scheduled caste, as well as scheduled tribe and other socio-economic backward classes of the citizens. Now the objective in this discussion, we will identify what are the institutions which needs to be covered within this provision of the articles. And there's a separate set of articles within Article 19 and Article 30, where certain rights have been given to the minorities to perpetuate their cultural and educational rights, right? Article 29 और 30 में certain cultural और educational rights दिए गए हैं ताकि minorities जो हैं अपने interest या cultural education rights को जो promote कर सके. Now there is a conflict between these two, and what is the conflict we will see. So a petition has been filed by an individual in the High Court, and the issue has been that government has come with an opinion that this individual was running a minority educational institution, and in the year 2018 and 19, as well as in 2019-20, he had admitted minority students with the capacity of around 52% of the students. So in his college, around 52% of the students were from the minority criteria. So the government came with the rule in 2021 up to a maximum of around 50% only, maximum 50% of the students only can be admitted in these minority institutions who are from the minority background, and the rest 50% of the seats needs to be filled on the basis of merit. And any individual or any students who minority and has secured the cutoff of the general or in the merit of the general category, so that individual needs to be considered within the perspective of general merit list. So based on this, since this individual has admitted more than 50% of the students in his minority institutions, and this 52% of the students are from the minority background, so what the state government did is to take away the right, it took away that license or the right of this minority institution. It's not a minority institution as of now. Madras High Court has come up with a ruling, and the judges have said that Article 15 Clause 5 of the Indian Constitution, which is introduced through 93rd Amendment Act in 2005, it specifically excludes the minority institutions from the prerogative of what has been mentioned in the Article 15 Clause 5 of the Indian Constitution. So first let's understand what are the institutions which are covered within the Article 15 Clause 5 of the Indian Constitution. So Article 15 Clause 5 of the Indian Constitution mandates for the reservation of seats for the individuals. And who are these individuals? Either SCs, scheduled castes, scheduled tribes, and the other is socio-economic backward classes. So the individuals who belong to the socio-economic backward classes, in order to preserve the interests of these groupings, these community of people, the government mandates for the the idea of reservation in educational institutions. And what are those institutions that are being covered in this Article 15 Clause 5 of the institution? So one is the government institutions. What are the institutions being governed by the government, as well as the private institutions? कोई भी private institution, school या college है. So this article mandates for the reservation of certain seats for these individuals belonging to scheduled caste as well as socio-economic backward classes. Now, what is being exempted from this Article 15 Clause 5 of the Indian Constitution is this provisions doesn't tends to implement on the minority institution which are established within the ambit of Article 29 and 30 of the Constitution, as well as if we consider the private educational institutions which are covered within this article. So the definition of the private educational institution exempts these minority educational institutions from its domain. So the whole idea of this 50% limitation or reservation within the ambit of Article 15 Clause 5 doesn't apply on the minority institutions. So the High Court has addressed the grievances of this institution and has given the opinion that state government has no role to play in the idea of reservation for this minority educational institution. So in this article we have seen what is Article 15 Clause 5 of the Indian Constitution, which pertains to reservation of seats for SCs, ESTs as well as socio-educational backward classes of the citizens, and the idea of reservation extends to the institutions, either government institutions or private educational institutions, and the only exemption is the minority institution. This provision of this article doesn't tends to needs to be implemented on this minority institution, and thus state government has no role to play. So this is all about this article. So next article that we are going to deal with is related to an issue related to government scheme or policy and program, that is MNREGA. MNREGA से related ये article है where an RTI has been filed and has displayed the information that there is an irregularity related to works that is being done related to MNREGA in West Bengal. So there is an anomaly, corrupt activity that has been erupted once an RTI query has been filed in the West Bengal. So these issues related to there has been a friction within the central government as well as in West Bengal government for every now and then. Not only the issue related to MNREGA, there has been issue related to the functioning of governor in West Bengal, as well as certain other schemes like National Food Security Act, which has not been duly or with soul and spirit implemented in West Bengal, and besides certain other issues like Swachh Bharat Abhiyan, Pradhan Mantri Awas Yojana, that has been not duly implemented in West Bengal. All the reason could be a politics, all because of the friction between state government as well as central government. But for the time being, we'll focus on this issue or the irregularities related to MNREGA. So MNREGA, as you know, it's a central government scheme which was implemented through an act. So it is mandated as an statutory right for an individual, where an individual has a right to work for about 100 days in a financial year. So an individual living in a rural area, and if he is an adult, he can claim around 100 days of work in a financial year. So MNREGA was implemented in 2006 February, and it has been a game changer scheme for uplifting masses of the population from the poverty. So this scheme pertains to the rural population. It gives around 100 days of works is being mandated to be provided through this scheme. And once the work was being created in this rural area, it has what it has positively done, it has lifted the economy of the rural people, and which in turn has lifted these people out of the poverty. Now there has been many issues related to this MNREGA, right? MNREGA से related कई सारे issues रहे हैं regarding its implementation, regarding the claim that 100 days of work needs to be given. There's an entitlement कि 100 days of work जो है individuals को मिलेगा. But what has been found कि around 30 days of work is at an average is being given to the individuals, and although wages has been duly maintained, कि fixed wage needs to be provided on a daily basis to this individuals and in a fixed time frame, but what has been found is there is a delay in payment of these wages. And since Gram Panchayat or the village Panchayat or the Gram Pradhan is responsible for implementation of this MNREGA scheme, there has been issues of corruption as well as ineffectivity in implementation of this MNREGA, right? So this is discussion related to what MNREGA is all about, what these schemes tend to provide, and what are the issues and concerns related to MNREGA. Now this irregularities has been it has been acknowledged through the RTI query. So RTI, as you know, it's an statutory law that is known as Right to Information Act, framed in 2005. Jan Suchna का अधिकार दिया गया, where an individual can obtain information from the public institution or government institutions regarding any such functioning related to the government. So it has empowered the individuals to know about the core governance. This act has led to enforcement of functioning of this government. So as you can know, as you can see, this only through this RTI query, there's an anomaly that has been found. And what are these anomalies? So you need to see in West Bengal, what are the issues related to this MNREGA. See, whatever the work that has been sanctioned to be done within this MNREGA, on ground there was no work that has on ground there's no trace of work which was described as completed was found, right? And besides, there are other fraudulent activities like the job cards for these individuals, for these MNREGA workers. There are job cards that needs to be given, so it wasn't updated. And if any tender was being given for the works to be done related to this MNREGA activity, this tendering activity was found to be with irregularities. There was pressing issue of irregularities. And besides, whatever material that needs to be procured for the works that needs to be done in this rural areas of the West Bengal, so the procurement of activities was not duly found. And some activities that has been done within the MNREGA and which are not sanctioned to be done within the MNREGA, just like metallic fencing activity, placing sand-filled bags of flood protection, as well as planting ornamental plants in these areas which are not permissible under MNREGA has been done. So these are the anomalies that has been quite come in an open in West Bengal with the reference of RTI. Now central government has on a time basis asked the state government about this anomaly, and it has sent its own team to inspect in these areas and has found to be around 50% of the 32 around of 63 of the work that has been done, around 32 were found to be satisfactory, and the remaining 31 had shortcomings, right? So around 50% you can see whatever the works that has been done in West Bengal within the ambit of MNREGA, there has been shortcoming, there has been issues associated with it. Now the government asks for what action have you taken, and there are activities for which fund has been taken, but there's no work that has been done on the ground. So the government needs, state government has the responsibility to take out that fund, to recover that fund. But once central government has asked what action they have taken, so there was no response from the state government. So this is all about anomaly related to the functioning of MNREGA and which has been exposed through our RTI Act. Now coming to the next article, which is all about Indian Air Force is likely to induct ASTRA Beyond Visual Air-to-Air missile by year end. So the information is important with the perspective of prelims. You need to understand what is ASTRA all about. So it's a group of, family of missiles clubbed within the name of ASTRA, and with adoption of this Astra missile, the core objective of Atmanirbhar Bharat, and more particularly since ki our defense needs are largely met through the imports from the foreign entities. So this Astra missile is indigenously developed, being developed by the DRDO. DRDO ने जो है इस अस्त्र को डेवलप किया है, and how we can use this Astra missile, we can use in it our light combat aircraft, that is Tejas, which also we have indigenously built in India. So this Astra missile, beyond visual range missile, can be used in the LCA, that is Tejas, right? And it has a range of, these missiles have a range of around 500 and till up to 340 kilometers. It can target its enemy. It's an air-to-air missile, means it can engage and destroy highly maneuvering supersonic aerial targets. So in the air only, this missile can target any supersonic aerial targets of the enemies. So it is likely to be inducted in the Indian Air Force. So of a recent practice was being done by our Indian Air Force, and what it was found, it was quite successful. So Indian Air Force has shown the eagerness to induct it within the our Indian Air Force fleet, right? So this is all about related to induction and what is Astra beyond visual range air-to-air missile all about. Now coming to the next article, it has created a political storm in the development that have occurred in Bihar. Now the state government has been continuously insisting the central government to do a caste census, and the central government has been reluctant to pursue such activities. Now the Bihar government has come with their own caste census. They have done a caste census in their state to identify what are the percentage of the population in particular caste. So the developments, beyond this caste census, what are the developments? It has been identified that around 63% of the Bihar's population, that is the state population, belongs to the other backward classes as well as extremely backward classes. So around 63% of the population belong to largely to the backward classes of the citizens. And to be further dissected, around 36% of the population is extremely backward classes of the citizens of Bihar, and rest 27% of the population is OBC. Now this caste census was done with a motive, right? Since elections are going to be withheld, so the objective of gaining political stardom or gaining maximum seats, all because in our Indian polity, the whole politics is based largely based on the caste premise. In of a recent UPPCS concluded means, they asked the question regarding the nature of regional parties in the state and what are their behaviors. So based on this identity, based on this information, you can identify how the state parties or the regional parties in Bihar have their objectives or how they are politically motivated. So once it has been found that 63% of the Bihar's population belong to the backward class of the individuals, so there is a pressing issues now these political parties or these political leaders of Bihar will impinge and coerce the government or the state government to challenge the 50% quota limit, right? So what is 50% quota limit? So as you know, in 1992, the Indira Sahani case was Union of India. There was a ceiling being kept, that is 50%. Beyond 50%, there is no concept of reservation. So maximum a government can keep a 50% reservation. A few months back or a year before, there was a similar issue that was in Maharashtra related to the Maratha reservation within Maharashtra state government or state policy, which was negated by the judiciary, and the reference was given only this a maximum of 50% ceiling needs to be kept, right? Now since this caste census has given 63% of the population is belongs to the backward class of citizens, so they have imposed they will demand for this कि ये 50% कोटा का लिमिट है, इसको reduce कर दिया जाए, since masses of the population belongs to the other backward classes, that is 63% of the population. And our polity says that there needs to be proportionate, representation based on the population, right? Based on the diversity of the population, there needs to be representation of our political leaders, or the seats needs to be distributed as such, right? So it has created a political storms. So they will, demand for increasing reservation for the other backward class of citizens, considering their, population. And of a recent, government has passed the women reservation bill, right? Parliament में दोनों houses में women reservation bill has been passed, where it has been intended that 1/3 of the seats will be reserved for the women. Now further, there would be a demand for sub quota, right? In that 1/3 of the seats, what is going to be mandated to be reserved for these women. These political groupings or these regional parties will demand for the sub quota reservation कि उस 1/3 में और भी particular OBCs जो women है उनको जो उनके लिए seats reserve किया जाए. Besides, there would be a challenge to the 50% ceiling or reservation of jobs and educational institutions. As we just discussed कि within Article 15 जो है 15% वाला 50% was the limit that has been mandated कि 50% of the seats needs to be reserved and 50% will be open for the meritorious student or for the general category. Now they will further demand once in the this state government ki since their population around 63% of the OBCs, 63% of the populations are OBCs, so their their presentation in the jobs as well as educational institution needs to be increased, right? So it will just change the political landscape, how the politics is being done in the states of UP, Bihar or other regional states. For reference, they have used a term that is mandal politics. So mandal was responsible for reservation of individuals for backward class of the citizens, and based on these developments, political parties like Samajwadi Party as well as Rashtriya Janata Dal in 1919 started their political careers, right? So since 1990s, to be vocal about the voices of other backward class citizens or individuals, these parties has been established. And of a recent, since 2014, as you know, ki NDA is ruling at the center, and there is a blossoming of the lotus or the BJP all over India. So it is quite referred as Mandal 2.0, where within the ambit of Hindutva or Sanatan Dharma, they have clubbed the whole population together, and which has in turn politically benefited the BJP and has been at the disadvantage of these regional parties. So this term Mandal 2.0 is being referred. Now there is a term that is used, Mandal 3.0, after this caste census, कि they will demand for reservation commensurate to the their population and will try to breach, to try to challenge this 50% quota limit. So this caste census has ramification along the political landscapes in Bihar as well as in Uttar Pradesh, and other states are too demanding for the caste census to be done. And if such activities has been done and if there will be demand, so there would be certain constitutional changes too if they are aggressive about their demands and needs. This is all about this Bihar caste census. Now coming to an international relation topics, particularly referred to a development in Maldives, which is our neighboring country located in Arabian Sea. It's an island country, right? So of a recent held elections in Maldives, Mohammad Muizzu has been elected as the the new president of the Maldives, right? So he has been elected as the new president of the Maldives. Now the concerning issues is that his political campaign was totally against India. He had this slogan of India out, right? So his political campaign circulated around India out, against India, and he is seen to be his photos is not there, Mohammad Muizzu's photos is not there. So he is the currently elected president, and he is seen to be tilted towards China, so he is referred as pro-China. Now the issue has been that the previous president of Maldives, he was in favor of India, and he was working in collaboration. His ideology was India first. And due to the certain series of development between India and Maldives, certain our Indian military was being stationed in Maldives. हमारे Indian military forces का presence जो Maldives में था, and raising this issue and concern, Mohammad Mizu, he opinionated that it is a threat to sovereignty and integrity of Maldives. So his political campaign ran on this ranting, and he has come victorious. Mohammad Mizu has come victorious, and what he has done just after coming to power, Mohammad Mizu has, he has transferred the previous Maldivian leader Abdullah Yamin out of jail to house arrest. Now there was a case running against Abdullah Yamin for activities related to corruption, and based on that, the Abdullah Yamin has been given 11-year terms of jail, and all because of this, his conviction, he couldn't contest the elections, and based on his behalf, Mohammad Mizu was his candidate, who contested against sitting governor Mr. Solly, who was who is seen to be a pro-Indian, or his foreign policies. The previous Maldivian president's foreign policies was largely in the favor of India. His core objective was Indian first, and against him, Mohammad Mizu ran his political campaign as a representative of Abdullah Yamin, and his the ranting was all about India out. So this development has been seen as a concern related to Indian and Maldives foreign relations. So this is all about today's news. Hope you liked it. If you have liked the series, then please do like and subscribe, and give us the feedback in our comment box. Till then, goodbye and all the best.